Um, see, I had to do a dredging kind of an exercise.
Yes.
So every item which comes under the GST, goods or services, had to be looked at, not just by their codes, not just by their names, but to regroup them from the point of view of daily use items, that which is consumed by citizens, middle class, the poor in particular, and then you looked at those which are going to hit the farmers, those which are going to hit the middle class, and so on. Because eventually, daily use items or items which are necessary for this transition of India from a emerging, developing economy to a Vikasit Bharat,
Yes.
cannot be on the back of, just the approach of we need more development, bridges, roads, some contracts for works and so on, but also that the aspirations of the growing families will have to be met. So we had to regroup them in such a way, okay, this is essential for, let's say, the families, poor middle class families. Of course the rich will come in. So what do we do as a treatment for it? But even as we were talking about this, we are talking about the classification of goods and services. I, without any hesitation, will bring that example of the popcorn. Why am I saying hesitation? Because I was pilloried on it.
Yes, absolutely.
But that tells you the problem of classification, where we brought in a system, no doubt, which was an improvement of over the pre-GST era, where every state defined its own and had its own rate and so on. So GST in 2017 was an improvement over what was earlier, but it still required some more simplification, and that's why this exercise. And in the case of the popcorn, it led to a lot of litigation, courts coming up with different kind of voices, and states losing revenue because of the classification being different. People chose to have the higher taxed sugary chocolatey popcorn shown in as a salted popcorn, because that has only very little tax on it. So this arbitrage because of classification had to be overcome. So even as I'm grouping for families their day-to-day items, this thought of what the classification is causing as a problem also had to be addressed. Like that, I think it was one of the, for me it was a fascinating exercise. It was rigorous, it took a lot of my time and time which would have gone in for something else, but I think this was absolutely rewarding an exercise, because you brought in that temperament which is so important, that citizen looks at these things in one particular way, revenue is not the consideration. So that helped us.
So now that you've done two monumental things, you've put more money into the hands of the consumer, you brought down for the middle classes the income tax cut, and now rationalization of GST. So will it now finally sort of move the needle on consumption?
100%, because there's more money given already through the income tax cut.
Right.
The rates are coming down. So the citizen now has a choice to meet his aspirations and his expectations. He cannot say, look, I have the money because the income tax is reduced, but these items are beyond my affordability. Now everything has come down. Okay. I'll give you this number which is important. 99% of all the goods and services which are touched by GST are now either in 0 or in 5 or in 18.
That's right.
There's nothing beyond. So that 1% is what makes for the demerit goods, right, which popular parlance says sin goods.
Yeah.
So that is the extent to which we have cleansed the system of anomalies, doubts, duplications, and any interpretative issues.
So this will also lead to higher investments, it will fire up investments as well.
Obviously, with consumption going up, there's a potential for capacities to grow, investments to grow.
Now the combined tax revenue impact of this, earlier your income tax cuts and this is about 1.2 lakh crore. Do you think that there will be a certain revenue buoyancy as well in the coming years to make up for this? And
Every economic theory that one studies says that.
yeah, have you seen that in the past?
Well, at least the moment the income tax reduction happened, you heard people very clearly coming out and saying, I mean, I've met up with a lot of individuals coming from different strata of the society saying, I'll have more money to send my son to this particular college. My daughter is already doing engineering. I'll be able to fund her for her higher studies and things like that. And from ordinary citizens who are leading their lives either working in a small store or driving a car, taxi, and so on. So it has an immediate psychological effect that I can do this, which was beyond my affordability. And therefore, I think there will be a buoyancy in terms of revenue.
Any impact on capital spending or fiscal deficit?
I wouldn't think. At this moment, I can say with confidence, capital expenditure of the government will not come down. It will be completed as is stated in the budgetary planning time, the budget estimate time, and so with the fiscal deficit. And this is the last point of my gliding path.
Right.
I will adhere to it.